SEC quarterbacks that are returning, buying their stock or not buying their stock. We start with Mike Elko, head coach Texas A&M Mike Elko, on his quarterback Marcel Reed as they get ready for spring ball out in College Station.
Our highs in 2026 were high enough to win the national championship. When we were at our best, we were as good as anybody in the country. We had not the ability to be there all the time, right? And that's just where we came up short. We weren't able to hit those marks consistently all the time. And then certainly down the stretch in the last two games when we needed it, we weren't able to. And so, last offseason it was about finishing and making sure that we finished the right way. I think this year it's a little bit more about, consistency and urgency have been the two words that we've really used a lot in the room. And so I think that applies to Marcel. I think there were times where you saw him play quarterback at an elite level, and there were times where he didn't. And I think how we get him to be urgent and consistent in his performance week in and week out, that's the next step for him and everybody in our program.
Mick, do you put Marcel Reed in the top 4 of SEC quarterbacks?
He's close to me. I thought, he played awful against Miami, but the rest of the season was really good. I like the dual threat guys. I think they're hard to defend. He can throw the ball too, and it hurt them that they didn't play a tougher schedule at the beginning of the year, because it felt like when they got to those games at the end, they just hadn't been battle tested. But I agree with him. I think when they're at their best, there's really no one that they can't beat.
Okay, first off, we were completely wrong on this exercise last year, so take that for what it's worth. We completely butchered who the elite quarterbacks were going to be in this league. The other thing, I think Mike Elko is an exceptional coach. He's done a great job in 2 years, but I disagree. They had no chance at winning a national championship because, to your point, Mick, when you looked at the schedule, they won in South Bend early against Notre Dame. That was a huge win. But outside of that, once you got to your best two teams that you played, Texas, you lose by double digits, and they couldn't manufacture anything offensively against Miami, and a lot of it was Marcel Reed. I think he's a good quarterback that will get better.
Give me a letter grade. Give me a letter grade on Marcel Reed, the way you think he'll play in 2026.
I think he will be a B quarterback.
A B quarterback.
I think he was a B- quarterback last year, but again, his two biggest games against Texas and Miami, he did not show up. No touchdowns, 4 interceptions.
Okay, I'm going to walk you through returning quarterbacks that are starters in the SEC this year, and we'll go Joey Aguilar next. We're going to assume he gets another year at Tennessee. Give me a letter grade for Aguilar, and what do you think he's good at and not good at?
Aguilar can throw the deep ball extremely well. Another thing that you love about Aguilar is you love the experience. This is a guy now that's got 40-plus starts. I forgot what the number is. I'm sure I can find that somewhere. But this guy has played a ton of football. But he's not going to lie you. I don't think Aguilar is ever going to be a quarterback that you look at and you're like, damn, that's an elite quarterback. But I think he's good enough, to do some things. He's got to cut down on the turnovers. That was one of the problems, when he was playing Group 5 football. He turned the football over way too much. I think coming into Tennessee, he had 28 career interceptions, and he threw 10 last year. Got to limit the mistakes.
Is he below Marcel Reed?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that, too. Think about the pick 6 to Alabama and Oklahoma. Those are 2 games Tennessee wins, and they make the college football playoff. So
huge plays, yeah.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't – when I look at him, and you're up in Knoxville a lot, when I look at him, he just doesn't look like a Josh Heupel quarterback to me. Am I wrong about that?
Yeah, he's not Hooker, but, the experience factor is huge, though. When you can put somebody behind center that's played 40 games, the thing with him, when I watched him, I always thought when teams make adjustments, he has a tough time making an adjustment to the adjustment, right? Like Tennessee always comes out hot, and then all of a sudden they can't do anything. I felt like that was a lot on him.
They had such a good defense 2 years ago. Dylan Sampson running the football. I think they missed some of those elements. But, Aguilar does have over 10,000 career passing yards. But he's got 34 career interceptions.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. John Mateer, where are you guys on John Mateer? I'll start with you, Mick.
I
John Mateer,
love
any
him.
good?
Yeah, I think he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. He got injured last year, and I think he played through the injury. But and look, Alabama took advantage of him in the playoff game and pick six. But he's a tough guy. He just has the it factor to me. I feel like he's one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the league, or he could potentially be that. I just like the moxie that the guy brings to the table.
He does have moxie, I will give you that, but it was uneven last year, and I just didn't think he was really effective at all. 14 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. You know, the yardage as far as running the football went way down from almost 1,000 yards 2 years ago at Washington State to 431 yards last year, and half the touchdowns, 8 rushing touchdowns. I think he's got a lot more potential. Maybe he's comfortable now in the SEC. And back to your point, he did injure the thumb against Auburn early on in the season, and I did think he played a lot differently after that. But the numbers from Wazoo to Oklahoma, I mean, it was a big decline.
He's the first quarterback that I really questioned his offensive coordinator. I'm not sure Arbuckle is cut out for this league.
Well, maybe not, but you know, Arbuckle was his guy at Wazoo.
It was.
And,
Yeah, it's true.
you know, you go back to his final year there, he had a total of 44 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And then this year, you've got 22 total touchdowns and 11 interceptions.
Yeah.
So it was night and day, the production.
Okay, so Mateer below or above Marcel Reed, in your opinion?
Potential to be above. Played under Marcel Reed last year.
How do you think he'll be in 2026 is my question. Above or below Marcel Reed?
I would assume he's going to be 100% health-wise. And if you're Brent Venables, just explain, like, you've got something you didn't have in Pullman. You've got a defense. So you don't have to, pull plays out of your ass left and right like he was doing in Pullman. So if he can settle down, get the nerves under him a little bit, I think he can be better than Marcel this year. I'm going to say he does have a not drastic, but a much improved. I would give him a C- last year. I think he'll be a B quarterback this year.
Brett McMurphy has Oklahoma as a playoff team. They don't get to the playoffs unless John Mateer is better than Marcel Reed, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Marcel Reed is a playoff quarterback, according to McMurphy as well. Lenore Sellers. Where are you on Lenore Sellers now? Almost had Alabama beat.
Yeah, I like Lenore Sellers. I was surprised that they didn't do better last year. And I really thought that this was going to be a season where South Carolina was going to have some big upsets. Didn't they have like a huge lead at Texas A&M and lose? It's like you look at
31. That's not that big of a lead, is it?
Yeah, right. Like, but you look at the intangibles that the guy has. If they block a little bit for him and run the football, and it's not always just on his shoulders, he's good. I definitely think he's one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the league. He's a scary matchup for Alabama when they have to play early in the season.
I think outside of Arch, he probably has the most potential. But he went backwards last year. And, you can continue to say he's raw, which he is, but, now we're talking about year 4 at South Carolina, year 3 of being a starting quarterback. He's got to turn this thing on. They were 1-7 in conference last year. He turned the football over way too much. Just wasn't productive last year.
If you had a choice between Marcel Reed or Lenore Sellers, who do you take?
I would take Sellers with A&M's talent.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's
equal
big
talent.
different.
Equal
Yeah.
talent.
I mean, Nick Harbor was his go-to last year, and they weren't on the same page a lot. And I just thought they underachieved last year, but he doesn't have the talent around him that a lot of these other quarterbacks have.
These other 3 returning guys, probably in everybody's top 3, Arch Manning, Trinidad Chambliss, Gunnar Stockton.
Yes, those are your top 3 quarterbacks in
Those
this
are your
league.
top 3 quarterbacks that are returning.
And I feel good. Last year, completely butchered it. I feel really good. All 3 of those quarterbacks. It's going to be difficult for them to have bad seasons.
But if Arch Manning's name was like, Mick Gillespie, would we really be talking about Arch Manning?
Is he wearing that jacket?
If he has this jacket, if he had this
Calling
jacket
him
on, we
a
would.
bozo. No,
Thanks, pal.
I think you've got a point going into last year, and I think I said as much. But the way he played in the second half of last season, I think Arch Manning is going to be the real deal. I think so.
Sam Levitt at LSU, Byron Brown at Auburn, Minchie at Kentucky, 3 former at one point starters, particularly Levitt and Byron Brown, those 2. Levitt at LSU, Byron Brown at Auburn. When the season's over with, can Levitt or Brown be the 4th best quarterback in the SEC?
Yes. I'll say this, though. Take it with a grain of salt when you look at Byron Brown because, he's making that transition that John Mateer made last year. Now, the difference, I've seen Byron Brown, South Florida plays a lot of really difficult games out of conference. So I've seen him against some of the best, and he looks the part. He
played Alabama twice.
Yeah, he looks like he belongs. I still think it's going to be a little bit more of a difficult transition. And, look, he doesn't have the talent around him Sam Leavitt has.
Yeah. So the question I guess I'm asking is, in your opinion, Mick, Byron Brown, Sam Leavitt, when the season done, can they be better than Marcel Reed, Joey Aguilar, Lenore Sellers, John Mateer?
I mean, I think it's possible. I mean, they're both talented guys. And it's always fun to see these guys that come from one system and go to another and how they respond to that.
And that's an advantage for Brown, having his old head coach and play caller with him.
Yeah.